space. The same on the inside of the Earth. The air would only go up about 45 miles and on up to about 600 miles in a rarefied density.
No, we had on this planet yesterday an 8.1 to 8.2 magnitude near Antarctica that affected even up to Tasmania, up near Australia, New Zealand. It must have been 6-7 miles deep in the ocean. How would that affect any inhabitants in a hollow Earth? I mean, do they feel our surface earthquakes or anything like that?
Yes, the large earthquakes cause the Earth to vibrate like a bell, and a bell is hollow. So that right there is evidence that our Earth is hollow. Whenever there's a large earthquake, causes the Earth to ring like a bell with a period of about 54 minutes. You can find that right in your encyclopedia. And receive a lot of rebounds from the inner surface. And then on the other side of the planet, there is a shadow zone where very little of these earthquakes reach. This shadow zone is caused because of the hollow. The earthquakes don't pass through the hollow.
Now, there are some people who believe the planet's only 6,000 years old. Others, as I do, believe that, of course, it's 4.5 billion years old. What's your thought on that?
I believe that this Earth was born of other planets. The ancient astronomers, Chaldean astronomers, are reported, as recorded in one of Manuel Velikovsky's books, I think it was World in Collision, that the planet Venus was ejected out of the head of Jupiter, and for many years was a comet that went around the sun and came close to the Earth and caused a lot of the plagues of the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt.
And that's Velikovsky's theory, so you do believe that about Venus?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's also in our church there's some of the early leaders indicated that planets are born from other planets. So if the planets are hollow, it's conceivable that they could be created inside of a larger planet and then ejected out through a polar opening. I'm
not Mormon. I was raised Catholic. I don't know. Do you still practice the Mormon faith? Because my question is do all Mormons believe in a hollow Earth theory, or is this just coming from you, and you just happen to be a Mormon?
R. Clayton Burrell, in his book The Lost Tribes, did a survey of the Latter-day Saints and found that about 4% of them thought that the hollow Earth theory might be a good explanation of where the lost 10 tribes are. So I don't think that there's any more Latter-day Saints or Mormons that believe in the hollow Earth than just the regular people out in the world.
Okay, so it's not a practicing part of the faith that
no.
The Earth is hollow. Okay, I understand. Tell me a little bit more about why you believe the Earth is hollow. I mean, what kind of scientific evidence is really out there?
Well, like I explained, I studied earthquakes and how the scientists say that whenever there's a large earthquake, it causes the Earth to ring like a bell, and the bell is hollow. And then on the other side of the Earth from the epicenter, there's this shadow zone where the earthquakes don't arrive. Now, there's two kinds of earthquakes. There's the S waves that shake like a rope when you shake it. Mm-hmm. And then there's the P waves that are like they're compression waves, like sound waves are. And so but both kinds of waves have a shadow zone on the opposite side of the Earth from the epicenter. The S waves, scientists claim that they don't go through the center of the Earth because it's molten, but they also wouldn't go through if it was hollow. So it's consistent with the hollow Earth theory. Is consistent with the observation of earthquakes.
All right. Now you say there's a sun in the middle of the planet, so
Right.
it can't be that big.
Our estimation is that it's about 600 miles in diameter, which actually would make it look a lot bigger than our sun. In fact, 23 times bigger than our sun. One calculation of a friend I have said if you took a circle out of a piece of paper 25 inches in diameter and held at arm's length, that would be the size of the parent size of the inner sun from you.
All right, I'm going to try to pitch this down. Now, the sun is, all right, the sun's in the middle of the planet. It's about 600 miles in diameter, which means then that the people on the surface of the hollow portion of the planet are about 3,000 some miles from the sun, right?
Right.
Wouldn't they burn up? I mean, if we were 3,000 miles from our sun, it's history time for us.
Yeah, but the inner sun is built so that it produces just the right amount of heat to produce ideal climate and temperatures on the inside surface of the planet. It's a paradise there. Olaf Janssen reported that everything grows bigger there. Trees grow to 1,000 feet tall. Even the people are from 7 feet to 15 feet tall.
Oh my, which, well, the Bible used to describe giants, so maybe they're descendants from them.
Well, actually, I have evidence that Adam and Eve were at least 10 feet tall people. There was a apostle of our church that was out riding in his mule in the early days of the church, about over 150 years ago, and he was riding along, and he noticed walking beside him was this hairy being that he turned and looked, and it was looked like a Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And shocked, he didn't know what to think, but then that being started talking to him. He says his name was Cain, that the Lord had condemned him to be a wanderer in the earth, and that he couldn't die. He had tried many times to kill himself, but couldn't. And he was as tall as this apostle was on his mule. So he's at least 10 feet tall. And he was the son of Adam. So indications are that the our original ancestors were large in stature.
Almost like the dinosaurs in a very pure state when this planet didn't have the kind of pollution and atmospheric problems that it has now.
Right, right.
Describe for me, Rodney, if you can, to the best of your ability, what the inside then looks like. Don't mention the sun, you've already talked about that, but what does the surface of the inside look like? What kind of vegetation is there? What kind of animals are there? What kind of cities are there? What do they look like?
Olaf Janssen reported that there is one continent inside the Earth and one ocean. The ocean is small compared to the continent. I estimate the continent to be about 16,000 miles from one side to the other, and the inner ocean only about 3,000. So most of the inner surface is inhabitable. Compared to the outer surface of the Earth, we have 3/4 water instead of 3/4 land. So there's possibly more land inside the planet than there is on the outside. And there's lush vegetation there. The vegetation grows like a paradise. Olaf Janssen remarked that some of the apples that grow on the trees in the earth are as large as your head. And peaches are just humongous. Pears, the grapes were as the size of our oranges. And the people there live to be up to 800 years old with no sickness or disease. It's just a veritable paradise. After spending a year learning their language, he and his father were taken overland in the monorail train to their capital city, which is built around the original lost Garden of Eden. And he described it on the highest mountain plateau of the inner continent, that where the vegetation grew even more profusely.